Where are all my friends? Brandon Holman. Thanks for being here, dude.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is one of those ones where anyone that Nick connects me to, I'm always like, I've got a good feeling.
Yeah.
But just off the little bit of research that I did and looking at what you're up to, I think that you're a unique guest to come on, and I think you're going to share some knowledge and wisdom that I'm really excited to have on the podcast that people haven't really covered yet. So, 160 odd episodes in, when I have somebody that has new knowledge, I'm like, let's go. So thank you for being here, for real.
Of course, I feel really honored and blessed to be considered and to share my story and some wisdom.
That's amazing. So the way that I start is just for a listener who doesn't know who you are, a quick explanation of who you are and what you do.
Cool. My name is Brandon Holman. When introducing myself and people, I really try not to just like first lead with like the title and the job and the career. So I'm trying to think of just the best way to describe myself as a person.
Ooh.
So I'm Brandon. I was born in September. I'm a Virgo. I'm a father. I have a 3-year-old. I'm a husband, a friend. I love music. I love people. I love nature. I love movement. I love to dance. I love to do yoga. I love to breathe. I think all of us love to breathe, but don't even realize it. It's just like one of those things.
You're aware of how rad breathing is.
It's something that's automatic. But what I love about breathing is that once you breathe intentionally and in different ways, let's say if you take a deep breath and you hold it in for 5 seconds, hold it for 10 seconds. If you breathe through your nose with an exhale through your mouth, if you breathe and then you just pump your stomach, to circulate the energy, you can just get to different states of consciousness. You can calm yourself. You can cool yourself. If you breathe with your tongue extended like this, that cools the body.
Wow.
So I love to breathe. I'm a nerd about breathing. And I have been at the intersections of tech, music, and entertainment for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I've worked at places like TikTok and Snapchat, labels like Awal and United Masters.
Yeah.
And now I'm getting into wellness and mental health with a startup that I co-founded called the Lazuli Collective.
Yeah. Wow. If that wasn't the best intro I ever did here, that's awesome. And I like that actually. Thank you for starting with who you are as a person.
And actually, Nick, our dear friend, he starts some of his panels like that. We did a panel at South by Southwest called, what was it, the power of identity in the music industry. And we all started introducing ourselves, not naming our titles, but just who we were.
Right.
Sort of removing your identity, removing your ego, this persona from the executive. And I take that with me now, as I talk to people and especially panels and interviews. It's just we all know who you are. We can Google you. Your LinkedIn's right there, your bio's right there, but who are you?
Yeah. Who are you? That's so great too. I think actually Jim Collins talked about that in Good to Great. But it's something that it becomes too easy to identify and just sit on your job title. And it's what is that? We're so much more than that. And that's such a nice reminder of exactly that, because especially in LA, right? It's oh, who's this person? What do they do? Oh, can I benefit from that? No? Yes? No? All right. I'm interested. I'm not. It's a lot.
It's the worst.
Yeah.
I've been in LA since 2008. I came out to go to school at Loyola Marymount. So I was fresh out of high school. Still even wasn't 18 yet when I came out here first. So I've been in this city for so long, been working in entertainment and just did the whole rigmarole, and that was me too, just wanting to, network and get out there and just have transactional relationships. And I found that the true sort of growth and elevation, even when you do meet that executive who you really want to, pass your business card to, who you really want to get that job from, who you really want to collaborate with, especially the people at the top, which like they deal with that all day long. People just wanting to use them. Once you connect with them on like, yo, like your shoes are really dope. Like, where'd you get those shoes? I was trying to get those shoes, or I have those same shoes.
Yeah.
Or like, yo, I saw on your Instagram, like you were eating at this pasta restaurant, you know, and like, I fucking love that gnocchi. And they're like, yeah, man, like that's the best food ever.
Like we're just people.
We're just people. And then they're like, yo, like, what do you do? You know, like connect as people first, then talk about job and career. And then I feel like 90% of the time, the next time you see that person at an event, at the award show, they're like, yo, like there's that kid who like loves gnocchi. Like I'm going to get him some pasta.
Yeah. It's just so much more real.
Yeah.
So, all right, to get into your story, I'm curious of like, we're born months apart, very similar age. What was like your early days? Like the picture of you before you got to LA, like kind of like the early parts of your journey that got you to here. Like, where are you from? What were you like growing up? Where did you find, like, typically where I get really excited is the moment in your life where you kind of find the thing where you're like, yo, this is it. And that's always evolving. But to paint that early picture, I'm always fascinated by that.
So I grew up in Connecticut.
Okay.
I was adopted.
Oh, wow.
I was adopted when I was 3 months old. So born in New Jersey, adoption agency in New York City.
Wow.
And then my parents got me when I was 3 months old and I was living in Connecticut. I always knew that I was adopted. My parents told me when I was at a very young age.
Yeah.
But my biological mother was very young when she had me. She was about like 14, 15.
Oh, wow.
So only child in Connecticut, very loving family. Yeah, it was just like, you know, into Power Rangers. I was into riding my bike, watching movies, just, you know,
regular kid
shit.
Yeah.
I feel like just with being just, you know, not to get super dark, but like just like the 90s sort of like dream of Nickelodeon and like Disney Channel and Disney World. I felt just like things shifted when 9/11 happened. I was, you know, in Connecticut in the tri-state area, so we could see smoke, you know, from our school. There were parents who passed in our school. I thought my dad was actually going to be at the towers that day. Like his car wasn't working or something, and like he had a meeting at the towers and he didn't go. So like I was freaking out, like phone lines were down. It was just a mess, you know? And then the recession hit. And I actually remember too, like I went to this private school and one of my friends, his dad was a news anchor, and we would see him like report on the war in Afghanistan. And like that was just a trip.
Yeah.
So that's when like I feel like I started growing up a bit.
It's crazy that you say that because we were legit like months apart in birthdays. And we were just old enough like to be kids, but to process like 9/11 being like, oh, something really bad happened. It was the first time that I was like, oh, like really bad shit can happen.
Really bad stuff.
And it was a weird thing to process. And I was in Florida. So like East Coast, but it wasn't like I could see smoke.
Yeah.
But even still, that hit me. And then I remember, like you're saying it, like the war, like as kids, they're really had a little bit of that 90s dream that was so fun and wholesome. And then like life was like, hey, fuck you.
I think about it all the time. And like, just like growing up in the 90s, like it was just so carefree until that day.
Right.
And then just like, I feel like since then, we've just been
there's
like
no chill
on a turbulent sort of like a turn.
Yeah.
But I also remember at that time too, seeing some of like the shift in the music industry. I remember 9/11, I think like Jay-Z was like supposed to like sell like albums that week. They were like big albums that were like coming out at that time. And then just like, you know, I remember like seeing the reports of like MTV, like out on the street.
Yeah.
They were doing their reporting. Artists were giving their stories and stuff too. And then just like with the tank of the economy, that's when, you know, Napster and like the illegal downloading just like really started to hit.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, when you ask like when I found the thing that I loved.
Yeah.
I'd always loved music.
Yep.
I grew up in a musical family.
Cool.
My uncle is a musical director. So he was a musical director at the Apollo Theater at the time. So I always had this backstage access and view of the music industry, first from the creative side, seeing him play music and orchestrate and direct legends in R&B, from like Shaka Khan to Luther Vandross to Whitney Houston, Ray Charles. Like, he's played with everybody, and I was a lot of the times there just watching.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't until he met my aunt, who married into the family. She was a music executive. She was like a VP or high up at Sony, and she used to be at ASCAP. And so I saw the creative side, but then I saw the business side. And once I met her, I was like, oh, this is it. Like, I don't have to play music. I don't have to be like a prodigy and I am not musically gifted. I think I have an ear for music, but playing it is just not my thing. I think I get too in my head, and I need to just like let that go and just be creative.
Yeah.
That's another podcast.
That's funny though. That's funny because I'm similar in the sense of like, I love music, and it never even bummed me out, actually. I was just like, oh, like, it's not my gift to create or play music. Like, my parents got me a guitar and a piano, and I tried, but I wasn't that great. And I didn't have the drive. Like, when I tried to skateboard and I wasn't great, I kept going and going and going for hours. And with music, I was like, oh, whatever. Like, it wasn't the thing.
Yeah.
But I too found a place where I was like, oh, I love music. But when I saw that there was the business side of it, and I saw you could help these other creatives that were gifted, I was like, oh, so that's funny that you maybe had a similar feeling where you knew you liked it, but then you saw that other side and you're like, aha.
Yeah, I was just really passionate about just all the people behind the scenes, like seeing my uncle on the stage so much. I was just always looking at like, who's the assistant, who's the manager, like the stylist, like this whole operation to get people to showtime.
Yeah.
And a lot of the times, like, those people weren't thanked.
Yeah.
But that was okay with me, because like once I saw how my aunt moved, it was like the people that know. And she knows too. Like, sometimes when the artist is on stage or they get that deal, they get that big check, the public doesn't know, like, the executive who like made that call to that brand or like busted their ass to like get the artist the passport. They lost their passport. Just all this shit that like happens to a superstar.
Yeah.
Of like, they need their favorite food in Paris and they lost their passport and they need to get on another flight because their kid is sick back home. And then it takes like 2 phone calls to be like, yo, I got a friend. We're going to get it done. Like, don't worry. It's cool. And then boom, artist is on stage. Fans are screaming, but no one knows like what the hell happened, 30 minutes, an hour, 24 hours to get to that point.
Yeah.
And so that's when I was like, okay, that's cool. I want to move and shake. I want to connect. I want to bring people together. So then I started interning. At various labels. I was at Bad Boy for a little bit. That was fun.
That was pause fun.
It was great to see the inner workings of Bad Boy Diddy era. It was very much the go get your cheesecake era. I was fired outside of the Dirty Money video shoot, but that's another story. From there, but it's also connected though, because the day I got fired, which was a very traumatic experience, like the next no, like I was like crying like on the way home to Connecticut on the train. And then someone called me and they were like, yo, there's a focus group at Def Jam tomorrow. You should come. And I was like, okay, cool. So I go to the focus group. They played us 2 music videos. One was Jeremiah Birthday Sex, and one was Sci-Hi the Prince. I forget what the song was, but now Sci-Hi is like with Good Music and Kanye. But Jeremiah Birthday Sex, I remember watching the music video. Everybody had, and they wanted feedback. Like, what do you think of this artist? And I raised my hand and I was like, you know, this song is great, but like there's something missing in the video. Jeremiah isn't showing enough like sort of like passion to his love interest. Like the song is about birthday sex, and I can't remember the specifics, but I was just like, there's just not a lot of like connection between them two. Maybe there were too many scenes of just like him flexing and like looking like an R&B star, but I was like, he should be like making love, like,
and like about his fucking love
his
interest,
birthday sex.
Yeah.
So I saw sort of like eyes light up in the back of the room from like some of the executives and people at the staff, and then they played us this other song too. It was like an Amory remix, and I remember just like dropping, like I knew what song was sampled, and I was like, oh, like they sampled this record, and like I know that this was going to be like a big radio hit in New York. And they were like, yo, like this kid really knows his shit. So like they offered me an internship that day. They were like, yo, like you need to be on our marketing team. So I got fired from Bad Boy, but then the next day started working at Def Jam.
What's up, universe? Right? Thank you.
That was wild. And then from Def Jam was like Rock Nation. But then like back to like some of the egos, I was like, okay, like I've been doing this sort of like dance at these labels in New York. I was the youngest one in the room, just always being an intern. I was like, do I continue this path of music industry in New York? A part of me wanted to go to school. I wanted to go to school in LA. And I think at some of that time too, I left high school. I was bi-coastal, working in the summers. But then tech was like starting to boom in LA. Silicon Beach was like becoming a thing. People from Silicon Valley coming to LA. So I wanted to get into tech. And I was like, I'm going to go into tech. I'm going to merge music at some point. But and the music industry wasn't as big in LA at the time. Like New York was definitely still home base. LA was more like studio creative, but like the marketing side
less
of things.
Of the business and the
less of the business. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna go tech. And then started working at Belkin, flash drive, or first SanDisk, the flash drive company. Then Belkin, routers, cables. And then it was like, okay, like I'm at a pretty boring e-commerce gig at a tech company responsible for making like Amazon product pages and like you know, Best Buy pages and stuff.
Relatively heartless. Like cool, you're in a cool industry in a cool area, but like the day-to-day is not exactly fulfilling.
Not at all. But then I'm like, okay, like how can I do some cool music stuff? All my friends are in music. All my network is in music. We have I have 100 little like charge packs to like charge your phones and like lightning cables. And I'm going to Coachella this weekend, and I finagled an artist pass. How, I don't know. So I'm going to bring all these cables, and I'm going to knock on dressing room doors and just like hand people products and get them to post on social.
Sick.
Remember meeting one of my really good friends. We were just talking about this a few months ago. Knocked on Bin Trill, Virgil Abloh's dressing room door, and she was in there. And I'm like, yo, like I work at Belkin. Here's some product. And I was doing that to like a lot of artists. And I remember she put me in her phone as like Brandon Belkin, or like Brandon the Belkin plug. And then like few months later, saw her again at Kanye Yeezus album release party at Milk Studios.
What? They did that at Milk?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that.
Dude, it was crazy.
Oh my God.
Okay, so like, let's just describe this. So it's in Milk Studio, and they set up like 4 huge stacks of speakers in like maybe like a 20 by 20 square. So you're in like the big sound stage of Milk, but then to listen to the album, you have to go inside the speakers.
No way.
And that first song on Yeezus, that like ding ding ding, like on site, just ears just blown out. Like they played that shit so loud, and everyone was just like, "What the fuck is this? Like, what is this music?" And then you get into the rest of the album, then you get into Black Skinhead, and it was just it was crazy.
What an experience!
It was wild. And then Kanye, I don't even think he showed up, or maybe he left because that was the day that that North was born.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it was wild.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
That's so nuts.
Yeah.
For a listener that doesn't know Milk, it's like a really rad studio in Los Angeles that does like a lot of like cool creative stuff.
Yeah, cool creative stuff. A lot of photo shoots, a lot of high fashion. Kind of stuff. Like not a lot of album release.
Right. Yeah, that doesn't necessarily fit for normally what they would do. Not at all.
But you know, at that time too, like Kanye, like merging high fashion, Vogue kind of stuff with like that really gritty next wave.
Yeah.
You know, like that was like when like mosh pit rap really started.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yeah.
And that's why I loved coming out to LA too, because I really got to see, and this is what I was telling folks back at the labels in New York. I was like there's this convergence of like electronic music and hip hop and festivals and psychedelics. I'm like, artists need to start like making collabs with like Deadmau5 and Skrillex and making music to perform at Coachella, you know, because like this is where culture is going. Like the kids in school, because growing up in LA, Coachella is 2 hours away. This is where, you know, rave culture was like really big.
Yeah.
So like a lot of the college parties were just at warehouses and just having like crazy ragers. And then the big festivals that we were going to were like Hard Fest, Hard Halloween.
Oh yeah.
And which was at the LA Coliseum before they moved, or like EDC. EDC used to be at the LA Coliseum before they moved it to Vegas.
So you were very much like in like the music culture. Like you were very much around like the stuff happening and culture, like around music shaping and evolving.
Yeah.
Even as you were at tech companies, you kind of found your way to stay in it.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So then what's the progression from there? Because you're saying like it's relatively heartless, even if you can get creative and be the Belkin plug.
Yeah.
So what happens
next?
Yeah.
So consumer tech just like wasn't my passion.
Yeah.
I felt like the company just didn't embrace these ideas that I had with culture. If I was at Beats by Dre, you know, Monster, Cable before, you know, they merged into Beats, like companies, even like Red Bull, companies that were really like infusing culture to sell their products and to market their products, doing cool artist partnerships or sports partnerships, I would have been thriving. But then I had an opportunity to join Snapchat. And this was a really cool opportunity. When Snap was like really just booming, seeing a rocket ship of a company, you know, really take off and being on the founding sort of team of that.
Yeah. What years would that have been?
This was like 2015.
Okay. Yeah.
2015. Yeah. So I was on a business marketing team there. Was helping our ads team like really scale the business, sell geofilters and sell.
Oh my God, I remember that.
Right?
I remember the fucking geofilters.
Yeah.
It was brilliant.
Such a great product and tool.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh wow, like all these stickers, and you go to a location and you're tagging yourself. So yeah, even before you can sell geofilters, I didn't manage, but I was working with the team, collaborating with our sales team. We wanted to impress artists, or we wanted to impress businesses for them to buy a geofilter to maybe drop over all of the US, or remember going to like McDonald's and saying like, we can put a geofilter over every McDonald's location.
Yep.
So I would like draw a map on the McDonald's headquarters, or maybe like the ad agency that reps McDonald's would drop a geofilter over their office. The sales team would go to the meeting, have people open up their phones. They would swipe and see this new piece of creative. Sometimes a creative director in the meeting can like make a PNG, send us the file, and within like 2 minutes, it's like dropped over their location. It was very seamless. So it was really cool for us to, if I wanted to get into concerts and stuff, I was like, hey, yo, like Beyonce, do you want a geofilter for your tour? Cool. Like, boom, drop it over the stadium. And then like I have 2 tickets to the Beyonce show.
Fucking sick. Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah. So I was able to like help out the music team there. Because and actually, DJ Khaled, you know, huge on Snapchat.
Yeah.
Because I used to intern at Rock Nation, you know, like when Khaled dropped his phone in the jet ski.
Oh my God, the fucking jet ski.
Right? And needed, you know, a new Snapchat, you know, password and stuff. Like I connected the dots to Lenny S and Rock Nation to like really bring Khaled into the fold. And then Khaled came to the office and, you know, just became like Mr. Snapchat. Not a lot of people really like knew that. And because I wasn't on the music team too, like I was just like helping out like where I could.
Yeah, like you were just being a good dude.
I was
like, all right, I can
good.
connect this to this to this.
Dot. Oh, Diplo's doing this. Like, let me connect the dots.
Cool.
So that was my passion, and then this is when the transition into like mindfulness really comes in because and identity and ego because I thought I was the shit back then. You know, like I work at the hottest company.
Yeah. You're like 25 years old.
25,
killing it in LA.
Killing it. Yeah. I'm Brandon at Snapchat. When people see me.
Right. Yeah. Who you are and what you do. Hi, I'm Brandon at Snapchat. Yeah.
I'm Brandon at Snapchat. That was my email. That all got taken away in like the blink of an eye. I got let go at the company for an unfortunate sort of like situation that happened.
Damn.
And within minutes, my email turned off, phone turned off. I'm outside of headquarters in Venice.
Fuck, bro.
Like with the stereotypical like you get fired, you have a cardboard box.
You had a cardboard box.
I had a cardboard box.
You had
I had the cardboard box standing outside on Venice, and like my team members who didn't think that I was going to get fired for like what happened we're all like looking out of the window like, wait, like what is happening? And then they all come outside and I'm just like, I don't know what is going on. And so then, yeah, like I remember like feeling like everything, I just didn't have anything. My girlfriend broke up with me like a few weeks earlier. So I didn't have a relationship, didn't have a job. It was really just had to find myself, you know? So like from there, got into therapy.
Wow.
Therapy was really helped. Went to a music festival with a friend a couple of weeks before. And that's when I first found out about Kundalini yoga.
Oh, wow.
So this is where it all started.
This is cool.
So because I didn't have a job, and I thought too that like I'm Brandon at Snapchat. I can get a job at Instagram. I can get a job at Twitter. I can get a job at Apple Music or Spotify. All my contacts just like were really dry. Like no one was like really hitting me back.
Wow.
All the people that I used to be able to like get into all these lists and stuff. If I'm RSVPing to stuff from my personal email address, not getting approved versus like how easy it was with my work email, you know, with my at Snapchat sort of like domain on it. I just realized that like, oh, wow, like this is a very transactional sort of like business that I'm in. A lot of people that I thought were friends that, you know, were getting me into places and like we were all like, you know, killing it together. Now that I can't get them the geo filter or I can't connect them, I'm no longer Brandon on Snapchat. I wasn't valuable. So that really hurt me.
Yeah.
And I had to really rebuild myself. And so when I first started doing Kundalini yoga, I was really blown away because I was able to release this like anger and guilt and sadness. Like I literally felt it like just get like sucked out of my body.
Can you explain to me like that specific Kundalini yoga?
Yeah.
Because I'm the reason that I'm so excited to talk to you is there's a lot that you are now familiar with that I don't know. And I'm so genuinely interested, but I don't know.
Yeah.
So what makes that different from other yoga? Like what is that? And like, what was that experience that you had that made it so like, oh shit.
Yeah. So Kundalini yoga is a little different than other styles of yoga, like Hatha yoga. Hatha is more, and like Ashtanga yoga. These could be some of the more like flowy downward dog, forward bends. You're just like really like doing your peaceful flow of a yoga practice, connecting your breath to the stretches, which is really great. And there's a lot of benefits. Kundalini yoga combines the movement, which is called asana. It combines mudra, which is the placement of your hands. So this, what some people know is like the standard sort of like yogi meditation pose. This is called Gyan mudra.
Okay.
So it combines different mudras. It combines chanting, different mantras, your hand placement, the movement and poses, chanting mantra, also your breath, the different pranayams that you can do. And what this does, it really brings your body into balance.
Yeah.
When I teach Kundalini yoga, I like to tell people that Kundalini yoga is a yoga of awareness, and it's designed to give you the experience of your soul.
Wow. So it's much more in depth. Like it's much more intentional. There's more elements to it than just downward dog breathe.
Yeah.
Got it.
There's more elements to it. And on a physical level, what it does, and to give you the experience of your soul, like what is that on a physical level? These movements and mudras and chanting and the breathing, all in a hour-long practice, hour-long class setting, it will bring your glandular system, your endocrine system, your lymphatic system, physical points of the body.
Yeah, like systems in your body. Yeah.
Your anatomy,
Yeah.
your physical anatomy.
Yeah.
Brings them into balance.
Wow.
So once you are, all sort of like brain hemispheres are balanced. Your lungs are clear. Your spine and your muscles are relaxed. And then like after you've had some movement too, I was talking to a friend the other day, and like he was saying that he's not a good meditator, and like he tries to meditate.
I feel that same way.
Yeah. Something that came to me while I was in the shower a couple of days ago and thinking like how to teach new students about meditation, and why I also love Kundalini yoga, is that you meditate after you do the physical practice.
Oh, wow.
So instead of like you have your chatter mind, and the goal of meditation isn't to have no thoughts. Sometimes I get my best thoughts during meditation.
Right.
But if you are to, you have a busy day, you're anxious, your mind is just going a million miles a minute, and then you sit down and you try to just like breathe and try to like meditate, and you think, I'm not meditating because I can't focus and there's so many ideas. Well, it's like, try meditating after you do some physical exercise. If you were to run a mile, and then you feel, like if you're working out, like you feel that release after you're done, then your mind is like so clear. Then you lay down and rest, and then you meditate. Like you're washing all of it out, and when you're exercising, it's like you're reoxygenating your blood, you're improving your muscle tissue, dopamine is like firing. So my first experience doing this while I was depressed and depleted and burnt out and sad and like at this huge transition point in my life, I didn't know what to expect in this class. I saw it at a music festival, had a really great experience, and then I was just doing a class on YouTube. And especially with this particular thing, it was like a class that was focused on your root chakra, which is the center, like your foundation. But that's also where you hold a lot of guilt and fear. I specifically wanted to release guilt about my past relationship. was feeling very guilty about the things that I did, to my ex-girlfriend. So I did this yoga class and I did some of the breathing, and then and I fell asleep in Shavasana, like after the meditation. But then when I woke up, like I felt lighter, like my spirit just like felt lighter. I felt some of that guilt just like ease off.
Yeah.
And then I was like, okay, like this is
You're
there's
like,
something.
Shit,
there's
this
something
might be
here.
real.
There's something here, and so then I started going to classes and having just more out of body experiences with the yoga, having very psychedelic experiences as well.
Wow.
And I was like, whoa, like this is really cool.
Yeah, like it was more than just like, oh, cool, I feel like I stretched my muscles. Like you were like, oh, this is something.
Yeah, and that's why it really hit me. And like, there's nothing wrong with the other forms of yoga. I do think with some of the commodification of yoga and wellness, like there is a lot of emphasis on the physical side of things of like, I'm going to do yoga so I can be fit and tone, and this is another form of exercise, which it is. But what I realized, I was like, oh, like this is so spiritual.
Wow.
This is connecting me to source and to the divine and to God, and this is also like making me a magnet for the things that I really want in life.
Wow.
This is clearing the karma of like my past. I don't even want to call them mistakes, but just like all the challenges and tribulations.
Right. Yeah.
It's clearing that.
Yeah.
So I can like be more still to bring in the things that like I really want, or to have the discernment to be like, okay, like, is this opportunity the right opportunity?
Yeah.
After Snapchat, I was like, my next job, I don't want to fall into this ego cycle again.
Right.
I remember like having these talks with my therapist of like, I really want to work at Apple Music. I really want to work at the next sort of like hot place.
Yeah, like that was still very much in your mind of like, this is the thing you do.
This is the
you
thing
go
to
from,
do.
Yeah.
This is where you go.
Yeah.
I have this title at this company. So like, I got to make this move.
Yeah.
But then I had to be like, well, why? Like,
right. Wow.
Do I really want these jobs because like it's the right thing to do, or is it coming from a place of ego because of like, this is what you do, this is the dance? So the next job that I ended up taking was at Awal.
Okay. So you're still in, well, actually, no, that's different. That's actually very different.
It was very different. Yeah. And so this was, while I've interned at labels before, didn't have a full-time job at a label, was always, consumer tech and now social.
So to go back to music is interesting.
Back to music. And I was poached for a director of digital marketing position. And I was like, the imposter syndrome really set in. And I was like, hey, like, I haven't done this job before. I haven't managed ad campaigns for artists. I'm not the click-through data guy, Obviously I have a passion for artists and music, but I haven't done this job. And they're like, no, we want someone unconventional. We want someone that is connected to culture, that understands brand marketing, that understands storytelling. You can do this job. It took a lot of convincing. And then I knew too that like, okay, like this is going to be a challenge. This is something that I wanted to do as well. Like I really wanted to be in music. Yeah. But I thought that I needed to be in tech. And I didn't want to go to the major labels. Right. So I didn't really even know that Awal existed. I knew that independent labels existed, but I didn't know that Awal was there. So it felt like a sign.
Yeah. And probably still around 2015, 16?
No, this was, because I took like a little time off. This was maybe around 2017, 2018. Okay. I took like a year off, was freelancing for a little bit, traveled a lot.
Well, the reason I ask is that's Awal at that time. It's still, I think in music, people didn't realize that you could kind of be like the independent artist with a real team behind you. So like you get the benefits of a major without being on a major. Like it wasn't quite there yet where that was like the widely accepted thing.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think is very interesting about your story right here as you're explaining it is you painted such a great picture of like, I know exactly the person you were, of like, you were killing it. You were working at the tech companies. You were plugged in with all the dope artists. You were Brandon at Snapchat. And then you find this slightly unconventional thing, this part of your story where you then start like really going to therapy and like that, but then also finding yoga and like kind of really seeing what spiritualism is. What I love about that is I think that it's really easy to stereotype that into like, oh, that dude's a kook, or it's like a bunch of old hippies, and it's like, it's not relatable. Whereas you're explaining this story, I'm like, oh my God, like I get it. And like for you to find that in your mid 20s and like really embrace that and see how that started to change your life is really interesting. Like I'm really into it. And I thought you were going to say that you went full on into that from there, but no, you then do a job at Awal. So this is really interesting. What kind of person were you? Like, was it this cool hybrid combination of Brandon that knew the tech and the industry and how to play the game, but now you're like kind of more elevated? Like, were you in a good place? This is fascinating.
Yeah. So, I was still going through like my personal sort of journey with spirituality at that time. And I would say before I took the AWOL job and I found this path, a lot of my friends and peers in the industry started seeing my transition.
Okay.
And I also started to back away from all of the release parties. I think at that time too, like I was sober. I stopped smoking weed. I started being vegan. I really wasn't drinking.
So very much like cleansing your body.
I was cleansing. I was like deep cleanse. And then at that time, that's when I found my wife,
right?
And we were very intentional about having a family.
Yeah.
So AWOL started like right before we got married.
Okay.
And right before, and then like 3 days after we got married, she found out she was pregnant.
Holy crap!
So like
amazing.
that happened very quickly.
Yeah.
So like while I was working at AWOL, I was at a more elevated place of my personal identity and like getting my ego, not letting my ego get ahead of me and getting wrapped up in my job. Because even with the AWOL position, you know, that allowed me, you know, working with cool artists. I was working with Steve Lacy, Omar Apollo,
cool,
Gus Dapperton,
wow,
Snow Allegra,
wow,
a little bit of Girl in Red, and like the team and the label. You know, we had Phineas, we had Lauv, Kim Petras, Cold War Kids, Dead Mouse, really cool artists. You know,
like
Tom
these are
Misch. Like, Little Sims.
This is it.
Frank Moody, like really dope stuff.
Yeah.
But like I was my priority was like my job and my career. But more than that, it was like my family. You know, my wife just got pregnant. And then we also had like some other like life transitions, taking care of her mother who has Alzheimer's. Moving her in with us. So I was like very family oriented.
Your priorities definitely shifted.
Priorities shifted.
Yeah.
Loved my job, loved the industry. But again, like I was like, okay, like, do I need to be out at this show? Do I need to go to this concert? Like, let me really prioritize my well-being and my family's well-being, and not just like be out on the scene, which I easily could do, just like get just like sucked up in it. And sometimes honestly hard. I remember like when my child was first born and I was taking like paternity leave, and I'm still just like seeing the industry just continue to move. And even now sometimes I'm like, oh, like all my friends going to Lala next weekend, like can't really do that right now. Like not the best time for me to do that, just like with where my family's at. So yeah, sometimes it's hard. But I really do love my family, and love everything that we're building, at home. So Awal was a really good ride. And then I left like the week of the pandemic, in March of 2020, to join TikTok.
Oh my God.
Yeah, I remember TikTok coming in to pitch us, trying to convince our artists to get on TikTok. I knew that they didn't really have an indie label rep.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hey, like, I want to do this. I wanted to get back into tech.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get back into the intersections of music and tech. Love the label, but I was like, I know my background is like more suited sort of like at a content tech company.
Yeah.
And then, pandemic hit. I remember, like my last day at Awal, they made the announcement like, hey, like next week, we're going to try working from home. Like, we're just going to test it out one day.
Oh, wow. Yep.
And then that next week hit, and it was like,
we're going to do that whole working from home thing.
Stay home. Yeah. And even TikTok, they were like, yeah, we're going to mail you your laptop. And like, so I went in once for my job interview at TikTok. And then it was just like the whole
time you were there, just like remote. Satellite.
And that was great. That was another just like interesting transition to then like be back at a rocket ship company like Snapchat, having more people wanting me and my team because it's TikTok and it's the music industry, and like we're the number one app, and like we're the number one way for artists to, sort of like pop.
Yeah. You were that guy again. You were Brandon at TikTok.
I was Brandon at TikTok. I embraced it. But it was very hard, just like work-life balance with remote working, with the pandemic, balancing family, a newborn, 6-month-old into like toddler, still caregiving for mother-in-law, and just like working for like a global Chinese-owned company. Just like it felt like a 24-hour sort of thing. And in the indie label space, I just had so many contacts at Awal, Empire, Orchard, Symphonic, just like all of them were just like hitting me up. So at that time too, that's when where I found an outlet for myself besides my personal practice of yoga and meditation was on Clubhouse. I was an early adopter on Clubhouse, and I co-founded a mindfulness community there called the Mindful Creative. And I just noticed that like this is before Clubhouse really popped. Entertainment, music, culture got on it. Shout out to Fadia for really making that happen. She was at Instagram at the time. Now she's over at Clubhouse. And I remember I got on the week after Fadia. And Clubhouse is very like you see who invites you. So it's like you have like the family tree. And I saw like I got on the week after Fadia. I think John Mayer invited Fadia. And then Fadia invited like Swizz Beatz, Steve Payman, who was Beyonce's manager at the time, or GM of like Parkwood, a couple other entertainment folk. And that's when it started shifting into just like popular culture. So when Fadia first got on, and this is why she was very intentional about bringing the culture on, it was very startup, Silicon Valley, tech, investment, VC sort of a platform. And I noticed that there wasn't any mindfulness, there wasn't any wellness. I was like, oh, it'd be really cool if like we did a meditation room in the morning to like get executives, get them going before they start their day.
Yeah. See, and this is where you become a real secret weapon because you understand tech and music so well, but you have this whole new skill set and understanding of something so elevated that you're now bringing to the table. And that's fascinating and cool to me.
Yeah. That's thank you for like affirming that, because I knew from an app product standpoint that like, okay, like this app needs creators. They're at their early days. They have tons of investment from Andreessen Horowitz and like the whole tech side of things. Like, how can I create community on this new app? How can I leverage this new app and be an early adopter and to stand out from like what other creators are making? And how can I also, from like a biz dev marketing standpoint, how can I make connections with the people that I one day want to partner with and one day want to work with? And the best way to do that is like through meditation. Again, it's like, this isn't the place to pitch yourself and introduce yourself as your title. It's like, we see that already on your icon. Like, we know where you work.
You don't got to do it.
You don't have to do that here. This isn't the VC pitch room. You're not going to get your app funded here, but you will be meditating and becoming tapped in next to co-founders and like leaders of industry. So my friend was going through meditation teacher training at the time, and I was like, this is the place to do it. I remember calling him. I'm like, why aren't you on Clubhouse? And he was like, oh, like I heard it's like the Soho House of like the new Soho House app. And I was like, it sort of is, but like you need to get on it. Like we both need to get on it. And this is our way to do it. So we did that, started the Mindful Creative. And now that community has over 260,000 followers.
No freaking way.
Yeah. Which is really wild. So then like over the course of the year, and I started managing my friend as like a teacher and a mindfulness teacher and a thought leader. Brands started hitting us up for activations, or like, how can they sponsor our rooms on Clubhouse? And then that's when I was like, okay, like I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I know I've always wanted to like take as much of this knowledge that I've absorbed from these companies and corporations that I've worked for. Never really thought that like mindfulness and wellness would be the thing, but I'm like, okay, like I need to start an LLC. And then I met my co-founder, Wata, who's this amazing woman, this artist. I just heard her singing on Clubhouse one morning. We had like a meditation room. It wasn't my room, but I was like playing the sound bowls, crystal sound bowls.
Yeah.
Just started forming community with a lot of people in this mindfulness space. And it was just very natural. And heard her singing, and I was like, whoa, like her voice is just amazing. Went to her Spotify page, and I was blown away by her art, like on her Spotify header, like her cover photo.
More than just sonically, she was an artist.
She was an artist. Yeah. And I hit her. I was like, yo, like, who does your art? And she was like, I do it all. Like, I'm a graphic designer. I'm a strategist. And I just really started making music. I was like,
you just had that moment. You're like, oh shit.
And like, I just wanted to help her. I was like, anything I can do just to help you, I'm down. Anybody in my Rolodex that you want to meet with, down to help you. And it wasn't coming at it from like I found an artist and like, this is the artist that I want to sign. It was just like, you're really dope. Anything that you need, I got you. And that's the big thing about me. Like if there's something that like I'm really passionate about, because I'm a connector, I'll just be like, hey, like I think you two need to meet. Because there's some magic here. And like I said at the start of the podcast with my aunt, like not a lot of people would know that like they introduced that thing. But I get gratification just knowing that I made that connection, and now they went on to make some beautiful piece of art.
There's something really beautiful about that. And you're right. It's not very outwardly like it's slightly thankless maybe from the outside perception, but when you know, and
when you know,
the ones that matter know. Like it's just there's something really special about that. Gladwell writes about that in Tipping Point.
So I saw her post one day, and she was like, she reposted a Moses Sumney Calm partnership, and she was like, does any of my friends know anybody at Calm? And I was like, I don't know anybody at Calm, but I know I can get to somebody at Calm. So I guessed the person at Calm's email address, and first I was like, let me like work with Wata to like get the pitch right. And like, let's work together on making a deck and one sheet and just like getting all the stuff right before we have the big meeting. And then that's when I really got to know her more and was like, oh, she's so much more than an artist. This is someone like who I want to be like partners with, to build the business with. And so then we met with Calm, and this is how I knew that something was really special for like, because I've worked with independent artists before. For an artist that has, maybe she had like 1,000 monthly listeners at the time on Spotify.
Wow. Yeah. Early.
Yeah. For an artist, before we even like talk to any labels, distributors, even talk to the platforms about promoting her music, for Calm to ask for a year's worth of music, a 12 song, sync deal.
Yeah.
I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Like this is real.
Right. And that music, isn't it a little bit unique from like typical, like an album? Like, isn't it like you're going to have to educate me, but it's very meditative.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It's very meditative. Wata produces ambient sonic vocal sound baths.
Yeah, there you go.
Very meditative music. The music on Calm tracks were about like 45 minutes to an hour long. And we did one for each astrological new moon.
Wow.
Which is a great time to meditate, a great time to manifest. We were really, really, really excited about that partnership, and that's what really kicked off the formation of the Lazuli Collective. And I was doing all of this while at TikTok.
Oh, wow. So did you kind of have that moment where you're like, I am deeply passionate about one of these, but not both of these?
Yeah. I was just getting burnt out. It was just so much work. And again, like we were still in the pandemic. And I really wanted to find a space where I could focus more on Lazuli. And that got me to taking a position at United Masters, leading an artist marketing team, knowing that they were supportive of my side business. But then even that just became a struggle of like passion and purpose versus like the day-to-day of what I was doing. So it just really wasn't a good fit for like my spirit. Made the leap to focus on Lazuli full time.
So that's relatively recent.
Very recent.
No way.
Over the summer.
Wow. Dude, much respect. That's quite the jump, like that's the real like jump off. Believe in yourself, do the thing that's meaningful to you. And I respect that a lot more because like, my God, the companies that you worked with, like you understand what that could be. And I think that maybe takes more bravery after having that.
It's really hard, even just like as a father and a husband to like support a family.
Exactly.
Just like give up the stability of the steady paycheck.
Yep.
But stepping out on faith, and purpose. It's challenging, but it's also very rewarding and gratifying.
Yeah.
Every day, although I don't know what the day will bring, I get the signs and affirmations that this is the right path.
Yeah.
I'm put in situations. I don't want to say that they're random encounters because like what's random, like these things are meant to happen. But like even the days where I'm like, okay, like I don't really want to work right now. I just like want to take a break. But then I'll be somewhere and I'm like, oh my God, like there's the head of this brand, or like there's this artist, or there's this person in the mindfulness space who's just like right there. Do I talk to them? Do I not? Okay, like I'm just going to talk to them. And then it's like, boom, okay, like I'm clear. I'm supposed to be here.
Yep.
There's this quote.
Oh my God, please.
Rumi. Are you familiar with Rumi?
No.
Rumi is this philosopher. He's a poet. I think he came from Persia or somewhere there. But he's this very wise poet.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this quote, do you think I know what I'm doing? That for one breath or half breath, I belong to myself, as much as a pen knows what it's writing or a ball can guess where it's going next.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So that really reminds me, for all of us,
yeah,
like, do we know what we're actually doing?
Yeah.
Like, no.
No.
Yeah. None of us have it figured out.
Mm-hmm.
We're all taking it like day by day, step by step. Just as Rumi said, as much as a ball knows where it's going next.
Yeah.
All you know is that like you are the ball, or like you are in this dance of like this motion of bouncing the ball. And as much as you try to control where it's going to go, the ball is going to go where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Whereas like the pen that you're writing, you are controlling the pen, but the pen does its own thing. The ink bleeds a little bit. Like no signature is exactly the same. So I need to, and we all, I think, need to remember that when we are aligning ourselves with our passion and our purpose, even when it feels risky and it feels unsafe and it feels uncertain, just knowing that no one has it figured out. No one knows exactly where they're going to go next, but trying to have that faith and support that like you will be okay.
I love that.
And that something is guiding you. And the yoga has really helped with that for me.
I like the way you shared that. I do, because I think I'm very big on energy. And I love that that's the way that you found to be able to elevate that. Because I think everybody probably takes their own ways or their own journeys to get there and to understand that. But that's exactly what I wanted to hear from you. And it's cool to hear you explain that, because any way that people can do that, any way that people can find that path and elevate that energy and put less of get rid of the bad and elevate that, I really do think that energy is a real thing. So for you to share how you got there with such a real story that's so relatable is so rad. Like, I truly love that. So maybe like a rad way to conclude is, well, like, one, I obviously want you to share where people can find you. And it's a much deeper dive than just like, oh, tell me a tip. But for somebody who's listened to this podcast and they're like, oh shit, like maybe this whole spiritualism, maybe yoga, maybe these practices, sound baths, meditation, like maybe there's something to it. What is like a good way for somebody to kind of start that maybe feels like they've seen the woo-woo side and they're like, all right, not that, but like the one that Brandon's talking about? Like, how do they explore that? How do they go down that journey?
Everything that I've said has been based on my experience. And I implore everybody to develop relationships with different wellness practices to develop their own lived experience with it. I think the greatest teacher is the experience.
Love that.
Versus anything that you'll read. Or anything that anybody else will tell you.
It has to be real for you.
It has to be real for you. It has to work for you. And not just work, but just like, what did you experience? And I think also knowing that everybody's experience is different. And you will experience different things at different times. Developing equanimity, developing a sense of just accepting what is for what it is, and not clinging to the positive or negative of it. It just is.
Yes. Wow.
So, and then you're not, let's say like one meditation was like so blissful, and then your next meditation, like, you're just trying to get back there, like you're trying to chase that high. Like that is a recipe for, suffering. And then like, if you also like, if you're chasing that high, what is it when you experience, some, perceived negative emotions, or you have a more challenging experience, and then you want to push it away. You're like, no, like
you're like, that is not it.
This is not it. Either of those sides of the coin you're doing a dance that's going to lead you to fear, anxiety, to suffering, just like not like this like peace in your body. So if you're able to like look at things from this place of true neutrality, of equanimity, of the good, the bad, the dark, the light, like it just is.
Yeah.
It just is. So back to the things that you can do. You can definitely, look up Kundalini yoga. That there's simple breathing exercises that you can do. One that I can like just quickly teach now. And I think that something else that you can do is just like find ways to incorporate these things into your day. And I know that in itself is hard. But sometimes for me, I get trapped up into like, it's all or nothing.
Oh yeah, dude. I feel you on that. Yeah.
It's like, and I'm still learning this. But it's like, okay, it's like I do a full yoga class or I'm not doing it at all. I'm doing a full session of something.
Dude, fuck, it's such a curse, isn't
or I'm
it?
not doing it at all. But what's the cumulative effect if instead of doing 45 minutes every single day, blocking out an hour to do something, or you just do 5 minutes?
Right. It's still better. It's still something, right?
It's still something.
Yeah.
And the studies will show that it's better for you to do like a little bit every single day over a longer amount of time consistently than it is to do like a longer period inconsistently. It's hard to block off that hour.
Yeah, consistency is really helpful.
But like, and it's so easy to tell yourself like, I don't have the time.
Oh my God.
I don't have the time to do this. I don't have the time to do this. But how much time do we spend on our phone?
Oh my God.
How much time do we spend just like watching TV?
Right.
Just like doing something.
Yeah. Look at your iPhone screen time and be like, okay, I have the time for 5 minutes of something. I can cut 5 minutes out of the fucking show. Yeah.
Before a meeting, before doing something, you can do a breathing exercise. You can do a gratitude list and just like write out all the things that you're thankful for.
Amazing.
You can take a walk. You can take a mindful walk and not bring your phone and look at the trees.
Yeah.
And say thank you. Say thank you to the trees for giving us oxygen to breathe. If they weren't here, we wouldn't be here.
It's been such an enlightening, fun conversation talking to you because I think you have a very unique intersection of having experienced all of the worlds that I'm so familiar with, tech, music, the business of like young professional in LA, yet you also have this beautiful knowledge and wisdom of something so much deeper. And I think that you're the type of person that will set the example and make that awareness to our generation and to the people. It doesn't have to be our exact age, but like you make something that could be misunderstood a little bit more approachable. Like I wouldn't have fucking on my own just like Googled breathing exercises, but now I'm like, well, shit, maybe, and like, I really admire people that I don't know, just spread awareness to things that they genuinely find that help them and things that have been around for so long. Like props to you. I think that's a really cool space to be in. Also props for taking the risk. Like you're blazing a trail that not everyone has, you very much could have just taken the corporate check, but you're following passion right now. And it's an honor to have you on the podcast and share any bit of that because I want to see it crush.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. So yeah, places to find us. You could follow Lazuli Collective, follow me.
Yep.
We're doing several events here in LA,
cool.
and some virtual. We're also partnered with some music festivals.
Cool.
That's something that we didn't really get into.
We didn't talk about that. You're spreading this and helping this at festivals.
Yeah. So we'll be at Coachella next year. And we partnered with Coachella this last year, and we did all of their wellness programming.
Amazing.
So we'll bring our teachers and facilitators out there. You can check out Wata's music on the Calm app, as well as on DSP's will be releasing her album sometime this year.
Sick.
Just stay tapped in, finding more ways to bring these tools, this wisdom to the music industry. So partnering with labels, partnering with festivals, partnering with artists to be a wellness resource for our executives and artists, our creative community. I just want people to be well.
Yeah, that's really admirable, and I think that it's just a cool way to present it and to help, and it's not. It comes from a dude that understands it from every level, and I think that makes it so special.
Yeah. Thank you,
dude. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. This. I really appreciated this. Boom.